What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another highly combustible reaction. We're gonna be jumping into something kind of interesting. Don't stay in school from BoyInABand. It's coming at us from Vincent. Vincent wanted us to check it out. Listen, just from the title alone, in a lot of ways, in a lot of places, I totally agree. And we haven't even started yet. I'm a 11, almost 12-year logistician by trade, by experience, yet I couldn't find any job in America that would just take your experience without worrying about whether or not you had a button seat degree. I know people that were well into their 60s still paying off their damn college tuition, still paying off those damn college loans, still paying. Why do I want to start my life with a $400,000 debt? I don't want to owe nobody nothing. Experience should be equal to or greater than any button seat where I got to prove to you that I sat and I listened to somebody ramble on. But instead of that, I have in the field experience, but that doesn't matter because you got to pay. You got to do what society wants you to do. You got to go to their little damn schools. Schools have changed anyway. When I was young, we had schools that the teacher actually gave a shit about you. To say, these are the future of our world. We got to make sure that they start off the right way. Teachers had to make their own damn lesson plans. Nowadays, it's all one forced curriculum, a lot of which I don't damn agree with. But let's see. Let's see, before I get too much of my soapbox, let's jump in. Let's see what we got from BoyInABand with Don't Stay in School. We're also going to check out the video, too, the hate comments that were received for this video. If you don't like it, don't fucking watch.
I wasn't taught how to get a job, but I can remember dissecting a frog. I wasn't taught how to pay tax, but I know loads about Shakespeare's classics. I was never taught how to vote. They devoted that time to defining isotopes. I wasn't taught how to look after my health, but mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Never spent a lesson on current events. Instead, I studied the old American West. I was never taught what laws there are. I was never taught what laws there are. Let me repeat, I was not taught the laws for the country I live in, but I know how Henry VIII killed his women.
He's got a lot of very valid points. There's a lot of things that I learned in high school that I absolutely never once needed in my life, ever, except for in high school. If I'm not going to be a rocket scientist, why the hell do I need to have any kind of rocket scientist math experience? Get that shit out of here. I've never once in my 38 years on this earth, aside from math class, have I ever once had to put a damn alphabetical character into a problem to get it solved. And now we've gone to this Common Core bullshit, which is even harder because now parents can't even help their kids. Even if you get the right answer, it's the wrong answer. Nah, he's got a lot of points. We don't get taught about the relevant shit. We don't get taught how to budget. We don't get taught about what's going on in the current events, what's going on around the world, how to interpret it. We got the news for that. They'll interpret it for you.
Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. Glad that's in my head instead of financial advice.
No
I was
shit.
shown the wavelengths of different hues of light, but I was never taught my human rights. Apparently there's 30. Do you know them? I don't. Why the hell can't we both recite them by rote? I know igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks, yet I don't know squat about trading stocks or how money works at all. Where does it come from? How does the thing that motivates the world function? Not taught to budget and disperse my earnings. I was too busy there rehearsing cursive. Didn't learn how much it costs to raise a kid and what an affidavit is, but I spent days on what the quadratic equation is. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That's insane. That's absolute.
That is absolutely insane. There's no reason. You will never once, mark my words, unless you are going into some sort of science or some sort of physics or something like that. You're not going to use any of this shit in a normal life. If you're going to work at a normal office job, guess what? You can make Excel do any thing you needed to do.
Insane! They made me learn that over basic first aid, or how to recognize the most deadly mental disorders or diseases with preventable causes, or how to buy a house with a mortgage if I could afford it, because abstract maths was deemed more important than advice that would literally save thousands of lives.
I won't even lie to you. I've been through every single college course that I need to do to get my degree. The reason I don't have it yet is because of a math class that I have failed 3 times. I don't understand math. It's hard. It will always be the hardest thing. The only reason I was even working towards a degree so I could burn that shit and have a video to say that, hey, you don't really need one of these. It's a waste of damn time and money.
But it's cool, because now I can tell you if the number of unnecessary deaths caused by that choice was prime. Never taught present-day practical medicines, but I was told what the ancient Hippocratic method is. I've got a headache, the pain is ceaseless, what should I take? Maybe try some leeches? Could we discuss domestic abuse and get the facts, or how to help my depressed friend with a mental state? No, but learn mental maths, because you won't have a calculator with you every day. They say it's not the kids, the parents are the problem. Then if you taught the kids to parent, that's the problem solved then. All this advice about using a condom, but not for when you actually have a kid when you want one. I'm only fluent in this language, for serious, the rest of the world speaks too. Do you think I'm an idiot? I chose the solo over the political system, so like a typical citizen, now I don't know what I'm voting on. Which
left or right, left or right, left or right. Neither. The problem with a lot of parents in America is we've given up our parental authority over our children and given everything to the schools to do.
Solo over the political system, so like a typical citizen, now I don't know what I'm voting on. Which policies exist or how to make them change. Mais oui, je parle un peu de français. So at 18 I was expected to elect a representative for a system I had never ever been presented with. But I won't take it. I'll tell everyone my childhood was wasted. I'll share it everywhere how I was educated, and insist these pointless things don't stay in school.
I agree. Let's change up the curriculum. Let's give teachers back their jobs. Let's let them teach the future of our children. Let's let them build the future of the world. There's a whole bunch of things that we teach that are absolutely not in any way, shape, or form applicable to somebody's life. Big facts. 100% agree. Honestly, the school system in America now is just built to keep you knowing just enough, but not enough to where you're smarter than the people above you. Keep them dumb. Keep them offended. We got so much technology and a wealth of information right at our fingertips that is literally seconds away. I'm one of those people that thinks, oh, maybe we should start finding out what our kids like to do, what they're actually interested in, and teach them the things that they need to do that. Instead of teaching them a bunch of useless information and testing them and failing them or whatnot when they don't do well on these stupid standardized tests, the whole thing has become honestly pointless. My kids aren't going to public school. I will be homeschooling my children when I finally have them. Let's jump in and check out these hate comments. I will be right back. Let me pull it up. What's up? We are back. Let's check out what kind of hateful comments Dave from BoyInABand got for his "Don't Stay in School." Because there are going to be people out there that are always against certain things, that always believe every single thing that they're told from their government, from the TV. They think everything is A-OK. They think that the way that things are set up is the way that they should be set up. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone's entitled to voice their opinion. So let's see what kind of opinions people voiced.
Hi, I'm Dave from BoyInABand. Today we're going to look at some of the "Don't Stay in School" hate comments, and also some of the nice and constructively critical ones too, so my fragile self-esteem doesn't get shattered. This has been a freaking surreal few weeks. I released my song "Don't Stay in School" and 5 million views on Facebook later. It seems a few of you guys agree with me, and it's freaking cold out here.
Most certainly agree with you 100%.
With this, they're much better, but not everyone agreed with its message that the school syllabus is flawed. It was a slightly contentious issue. I'm soft-serving it, so
Those are the ones that have been that at the system actually worked and it dumbed them down a little bit.
One agreed with its message that the school syllabus is flawed. It was a slightly contentious issue. I'm soft-serving it. Someone posted it to Reddit, and that day it was at the top of the controversial page for the entire freaking website. Clearly, this shows it's something we need to discuss, so let's get started. First, we're going to take a look at the comments on YouTube. There were quite a variety of responses, because the majority of you guys that watch me tend to be really respectful, but it spread quite quickly outside that group. So it's obvious as fuck that you didn't pass high school. I get it was hard, but you don't need to cry on YouTube that you don't understand why they teach you this information. I got 12 GCSEs, 3 A-levels in maths, physics, and computing, and a university degree, but even if I had totally dropped out, it would not have affected my point whatsoever. Wow, this song hit every point I've been thinking about. Glad to know I'm not the only one who thinks this way about these things. This guy is an idiot. Much appreciated insight there, toilet duck. Why do you want to fight? I had a bad education, but I know.
Toilet duck. Sad toilet duck. No amount of offensive words that anybody named toilet duck threw my way would ever fucking touch me.
Know how to read and write and make some simple operations, and it is enough. Just calm down and don't take it too seriously. Yeah, it's only wasting years of time from every educated human being on the planet. No big deal. You're a hippie, but I have to agree with you. Thanks, bro. Sexy grill. Yeah, bro, that's what your parents are for, to teach you. Bummer. Excuse me, Mr. Rodrick, my parents are both dead. Do I deserve a fair chance in life? No way, bro. My parents were awesome. I'll be way more valuable to society than you. Bummer. Okay. I was really surprised at the number of people that said it was up to the parents. It's basically saying your quality of life should be dictated by luck. Because some people's parents are uneducated, some people's parents freaking suck at parenting, and 153 million children's parents are dead.
A lot of America's parents just don't want to deal with their kids. They'd rather the school teach their kids everything. And then somehow expect them to still turn out all right.
Screw them, bro. Bummer. Or if you're not quite that selfless, it's saying, I would rather receive first aid from someone taught by their parents than by a qualified teacher at school. The 1,000 dislikes are teachers. There's a lot of teachers that really supported this message because they don't control what the syllabus is.
There it
I
is.
showed my mother.
They used to make their own freaking syllabuses. Teachers used to have to write lesson plans of what they were going to teach. Nowadays, they get all handed a blanket lesson plan and said, this is what you're going to teach.
Who was a teacher, the Don't Stay in School video. She said it was excellent and that she can't fault it. And there were tons of similar messages from teachers who were as frustrated as we are about this entire system being so inefficient. My mom started watching your videos. That feels like a reverse playground insult. My mom started watching it. If you made algebra, geometry, and higher maths not mandatory, how many kids would choose to learn it? Probably not a single one. Consequently, you'd get generations of people who'd not be able to become scientists or technicians. This makes assumptions that kids aren't naturally curious about these kinds of things. I'm positing that kids are being put off those topics because they're forced into them. Because there is a lack of scientists, engineers, and programmers.
Damn, he makes
and that's
a lot
whole
of
different
points.
issue to address. But I don't know whether forcing children to dedicate years of their life to things they have no interest in is the way to encourage them in that. After YouTube, I also uploaded on Facebook, which is where it was the most popular, with 130,000 people sharing it. Which would have been fantastic if it wasn't for the fact that they wouldn't let me choose a thumbnail, so 5 million people were presented with this. Great. Thanks for that, Zucky. Hey Dave, no problem, mate. Absolutely love this. My daughter won't be going to school. We home educate. And don't let the name fool you, home education is a bit of a misnomer. We actually spend very little time at home and a lot out and about learning from practical activities, everyday experiences and opportunities in our community.
Some parents
Lots of
get it.
homeschooling moms really resonated with this message, which makes me laugh at the thought of thousands of moms suddenly get into screaming rap music. My perception of homeschooling prior to that was crazy Christian fundamentalists holding their kids back and forcing them to wear this. But it turns out there's a lot of people on the total other side of the spectrum who are just terrified to let their kids have their creativity beaten out of them and years of their potential development wasted. And this can be awesome for kids with well-educated parents, but the problem is this is not scalable. For a start, for the majority of families, both parents work. They don't have time to teach their kids in addition to feeding and clothing and keeping a roof over their heads. This change needs to happen in schools. From the vibe I got, I think if the school system changed, a lot of these parents would love to let their kids go there.
But there was a time, my parents have always been involved in my schooling. My father was the president of the Parent-Teacher Association. We used to go to all kinds of things. There used to be teacher-parent days. There used to be all kinds of stuff to keep the parents involved in the kid's life. Like, I don't know. Today's education, to me, it's not an education that you're going to need that's actually something that you'll put towards your life. Yeah, if you get into those classes that you really, really want to take towards whatever it is that you really, really want to do, those are normally the classes that I do the best in. But if I have no interest in doing anything remotely related to what you're trying to teach me, why are you trying to teach it to me at all? I personally don't need it. I give a shit if little Johnny over there wants to be an astronaut and he needs some sort of different math. Give him that different math.
Schools are all about indoctrination and dumbing down.
Yep.
Self-education is the way. Do not go to school. I think we need to fix school rather than stop going to it. This is useless rhetoric. Here is an example of a sentence that perfectly describes itself. Hear this. Get a haircut. Quit whining and do something productive with your life. Stop blaming everyone else for your inability to function in a normal society. Why do so many of the people that are against me care so much about the length of my freaking hair? You need to listen to some of my other songs.
Something's wrong, get some big long strands of hair can shake your worldview.
I guess he thinks the world owes him a living and everything that will make him happy. Get a grip on reality, kid. I worked hard to build a career for myself, so I'm not quite sure what you're talking about there, and this wouldn't help me if it was implemented. It would help the kids currently in school. Sounds like you're mad at your parents. I love my mom and dad. Where did you get that from? They're incredibly intelligent, considerate people. This is unbelievably true. Education in schools are pointless for the future. Everyone is forced to find out the most important things about life in their own time, which is limited by the waste of time that is school. Am I the only one who thought he was a girl? No. I like that you're encouraging a debate on this topic. I don't agree with you, but liked the method of delivery. I wonder if Shakespeare influenced your poetic dissidence. More Eminem than Shakespeare, but thanks for being so reasonable. And the top comment on Facebook was this one, which had 2 points to make. I went to a pretty damn awful high school. Worst in my county, in fact. Ended up with a PhD in nuclear physics in the end. Those isotopes you mention? My bread and butter day in, day out. Mathematics I use daily, if not hourly. First thing to say, the majority of people won't use isotopes or complex algebra in their entire life.
Unless they work with that guy.
And second, I'm not saying that we should remove them entirely. You would have still been able to learn that stuff, but you would have chosen to do so. Way too much is mandatory in school at current. Do you want to know what the real problem is with today's society? A massive sense of self-entitlement. There is absolutely no excuse blaming education systems for our general ignorance. We can only blame ourselves. Education systems are the exact solution we came up with to remedy ignorance. If
They should be there to remedy ignorance, but they're contributing an awful lot to it.
we are still ignorant, that solution is not working properly. We are entitled to it. It says so in our human rights. Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. That pretty clearly says you should be taught your human rights, but I guess it's understandable you didn't know that since you weren't taught your human rights. Over on Twitter, people were taking to use the hashtag, but not everyone liked it. Your hashtag and song are misleading. Kids will genuinely think they shouldn't stay in school. A lot of people said they really resonated with the message of the song, but didn't like my choice of title. So let me clarify, I am not saying kids should drop out of school. The last lines of the song gave context.
It's like everything else. It needs some reform. We need to roll it back to the days of teachers having some say-so in what the hell it is that they're teaching, and parents having some say-so in their kids' education.
But let me clarify, I am not saying kids should drop out of school. The last lines of the song gave context that "don't stay in school" is referring to the pointless topics, not to students. I titled it that way because I don't imagine 5 million people would be discussing this incredibly important issue if I released the song "The syllabus has inefficient aspects to it." Leading on from this, though, there were a lot more people saying they were worried kids would take it the wrong way than there were kids taking it the wrong way. In fact, I saw more kids showing they understood the message and explaining they agree that the syllabus needs to change. Hey Dave, I'm in 6th grade and they are only teaching us one thing that you didn't learn, and that is tax. Just wanted to point that out. Great message, by the way, and I do know you are not telling us to drop out of school. Then the video got posted on Reddit in various different contexts. Super edgy 22-year-old raps about how useless school is. But the most successful post was titled, "He may be British, but the point applies in the US as well," and it had the top comment, "I suppose a British response is called for."
It applies totally to the US, 112%.
Linking to this video from Stephen Fry.
It's extraordinary. It's always the children who say, sir, what's the point of geometry? Or what's the point of Latin? Who end up having no job, being alcoholic, and they don't notice that the ones who actually find knowledge for its own sake and pleasure and information in the history and in the world and nature around us, actually getting on and doing things with their fucking lives.
Now, I love Stephen Fry. I binge-watch QI, I've heard the Harry Potter audiobooks, hell, we both have a burning passion for electronic music.
Dubstep is my life.
But if what he said was true, perhaps the reason these people ended up jobless and alcoholic was because they were forced for the entire of their formative years, for the majority of their waking time, to sit in one place, learning in a format they didn't resonate with until their intrinsic curiosity was beaten out of them. However, I don't think it is always those types of people, because a huge amount of kids currently in school that commented on this video had really eloquent views on this, and have interests they would love to pursue, but are forced to waste all of their motivation on learning pointless things they are completely uninterested in. Not everyone loves learning for the sake of learning, and that's okay. Many of these people just have incredibly specific interests. But again, I don't hate you, Stephen, you're still brilliant. And the most upvoted comment I saw on Reddit was, Google. Seriously, this shit doesn't stick anymore when you have humanity's collective knowledge at your fingertips. You want to learn how to do your taxes? Fucking YouTube. There are a myriad of videos on the subject. Want to learn how to vote? Go to the government website. Maths, science, English, physics are the foundations. You're expected to get off your arse and go find things out for yourself too. But I guess we gotta be edgy. Yeah, fuck school. But despite it being the most upvoted thing, it doesn't address the point at all. Why are we learning this set of things?
Yeah, for what? For whose pleasure? For whose benefit? For who's it gonna help? Damn sure not me. Kids know when they're young. When you ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? They say doctor, lawyer. I knew I wasn't going to be anything that had anything to do with any math.
Why do you think we should Google these certain things? Why shouldn't we Google the quadratic equation? Why are Oxbow Lakes specifically more of a priority than knowing how to stop someone bleeding to death? We won't all think of every useful bit of information independently of one another. A great YouTube comment phrased it, we don't know what we don't know after all. If we all relied on Google, we'd miss things. We'd make mistakes which could easily be rectified by a teacher. And lastly, one thing I saw a lot on all of the platforms it was uploaded to were people saying things like this. What fucking school did he go to? I went to a standard British inner city state school and learned about pretty much everything he is talking about bar tax. He went to school and ignored all the things they tried to teach him, then made a song pretending they didn't. He's ignorant as fuck. I recall being taught about tons of stuff he's crying about. I think BoyInABand might have spent a little too much.
Pretty sure some of these people probably haven't been to school in years. The curriculum has changed a little bit. Like, just throwing that out there.
Time dyeing his hair, smoking pot and trying to be a rock star, and should have spent a little more time paying attention in class. About dyeing my hair, I really didn't. Back then I looked like Harry Potter if he was a serial killer. And I've never done any drugs in my life, though American security guards in airports always ask that question. But just like the guy who assumed I dropped out, even if I was a slacker or took drugs or hated learning, my points would still be valid. Those kinds of ad hominem attacks don't address the issue. This argument from people who did get taught some of these things was answered really well by this comment I saw. Those of you who've gotten decent educations, taught what Dave was not, don't see the lesser school systems because you don't come into contact with the people who've been subjected to them. It's like how rich people don't have to socialize with those who aren't as well off. There's a huge divide because of the difference in social groups and abilities. You're on an almost unattainable tier by default, just because you learn basic life skills at a very young age when everyone else has to seek them out autodidactically much later in life if their family isn't responsible or caring enough to teach them. Exactly. Freaking exactly that. Even if you were taught all those things, which is great by the way, kudos to whichever education system you're in, millions of us were not taught them. And more importantly, millions of people currently in mandatory education will still not be taught these things. And what I've learned from the thousands of comments from people who make this argument, it looks like people don't know that, meaning there is a gap in their education as well. What it comes down to is that the syllabus was decided hundreds of years ago, and what is being taught right now has stemmed from that initial arbitrary decision and has not had any sort of major overhaul, despite the jobs and lifestyle we're preparing kids for being completely different. We've agreed in our human rights that everyone should be taught, but we've never had the global conversation about what should be taught. Ideally, we'd have some system where we could all put in the different topics we think are useful for everyone and useful for the most in-demand jobs. Contrast it with studies showing the amount of time optimally that a kid can spend learning without destroying them.
If we made the changes that this man's talking about, I would definitely put my kids back in school. I'm not going to put them into school with a forced curriculum and have them feeling the same way that I felt when I went to high school. You feel like a failure when you get given shit that you absolutely just don't understand, that you never will understand, that you have zero intention of ever understanding. Like, no. But if it's something that's going to actually develop them into the human that they need to be able to do the things that they're interested in doing. I'm all about it.
Mental or physical health, and use that to prioritize with scientific evidence which lessons should be taught. Practically though, since that's a bit utopian to put into practice, I think most people want something to happen but don't know what they can do. So if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them in the comments. I'm going to release a video soon saying what I'll be doing about the problem, and also suggesting some things we can do collectively, since loads of you have shown that you actually really care about this. I do not want to just let this video say something and then do nothing. There's enough of us here together now that we can make an impact. Thank you so much to everyone who's posted your comments all over the internet on both sides of the fence. I really appreciate it. Let me know what your ideas are in the comments. Cheers for watching and have a nice day. Hi, I'm Dave from BoyInABand. Sometimes you come across people who completely change your perception of what a human being is capable of. Today I'm going to show you one of those people.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dave from BoyInABand. Don't stay in school, and are reacting to the don't stay in school hate comments. I'm saying a lot of it needs to be revamped. It needs to be brought up to speed. It needs to be modernized. We need to have some sort of a say-so in what it is that's being taught, because there's a lot of pointless things. There's a lot of wasting of time learning things that you absolutely don't need in life. There will probably be some haters in the comments down here. I always expect it, and I don't mind whatsoever. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if it might be wrong. Definitely, I know the American school system's got some issues. I can't speak for any other countries because I've never been to school in another country, but America, I've damn sure spent a lot of time in school. And there's a lot of things up here, even still to this day, that I never heard again since it came from high school. Never heard it again in my life. Never been asked about it again in my life. Never been tested on it for sure. Hey, if you guys enjoyed it, get over and show BoyInABand some love. We're subbing up. We're smashing the like button already. You should too. The link's down inside the description. Smash the like button here if you liked it. The dislike button, but I won't believe you. Check out the other video over there. Until the next one, highly combustible. You guys be happy, healthy, safe. Love you to the moon and back. Peace.